What's up, degenerates? It's halftime of TNF, and you know what that means. This is Over Underdogs, the show where we pick player props on Underdog Fantasies PickEm. If you want to play along, use promo code NONSENSE for a nice little bonus. As per usual, I'm your host, Mason Cameron, at PFF_Mace on the Twitter. And with me, as always, my partner in crime, Vishaal Gupta, at Vishaal_Gupta95 on Twitter. V, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. Interesting game so far, but definitely need a lot more points in the second half. So that's what we're going to be rooting for.
No, we're not rooting for that. For anybody who did not check out NFL Versus tonight, V and I have some skin on this game on the total here. We do not want any more points. We want it to stay right where it is. But on to the next one. And with us again, I am betting writer Vaughn Moore at VMoore1724 on Twitter. Good to have you back, Vaughn. How are you doing?
Good. I'm just so upset I'm missing out on this game.
It's exhilarating. It is honestly a thriller to watch Baker Mayfield turn the wrong way, coming out on a handoff. Is something that they paid the big bucks for out there in LA to get those seats. So
right,
yeah,
this is not making me want to get Amazon Prime. That's for sure.
I think the most interesting thing about all these Thursday night games is the suits that Ryan Fitzpatrick comes out here in. I didn't even realize he was on the broadcast half the time because we're doing this at halftime, but I guess you learn something new every day. But anyway, so we're on to the picks for the night. Actually, first off, we have a little housekeeping to do, business as usual. We got to go through our records. We're hanging in there. It's been a tough last couple of weeks. So we have not been hitting quite as many as we would hope, but we're still hanging in there. We're hanging tough. We're right around about 50% everywhere. Vishaal is definitely still up there, 57.9%, 2 bad beats, 9 wins with insurance. And for anybody that doesn't know about insurance, we play all of our cards with Underdogs PickEm Insurance. It's a great new way to hedge your entry. When you turn insurance on, your potential payouts, they will be reduced slightly, but you can still win money even if you miss a pick, and we love that. We're definitely still making the money here, even when it doesn't turn out quite as good as we had hoped like the last couple weeks. But anyway, on to our picks for the night. And as usual, we're going to start with V. Get your picks right out of the way. We got some winners on deck. So V, why don't you take everybody through your card?
All right, let's go ahead and get started with Dalvin Cook, higher than 75.5 rushing yards. This number is actually set a little bit lower than his season average so far this year, which is at 77.3 rushing yards per game. So I'm a little surprised this number has come in a little bit low. When he played Detroit earlier in the season in week 3, he had 96 rushing yards. And Detroit overall has just not been a very good rushing defense. They've allowed the 5th most rushing yards per game and the 2nd most rushing yards per attempt in the league this year. So they're not doing very good stopping anything really, whether it's the pass or the rush. So I think everybody, honestly, in this game, whether you play for Minnesota, Detroit, are going to have big days. There's honestly a couple other picks I like that I could have taken in this game for hires, just because I think there's going to be a lot of attempts, a lot of yards, lots of points in this game. It should be a good one. But I settled on Dalvin Cook as probably the best option, just because this number, again, is just set a little bit too low in my opinion. Next up, Daniel Jones, higher than 28.5 passing attempts. He has gone higher than this number in 5 of his last 6 games, and I think it's going to be the same thing in this one. They're 7-point underdogs at home against the Philadelphia Eagles, so they should be trailing quite a bit. The Giants should be. So there's going to be just it's going to require Daniel Jones to have to throw the ball in order to stay in the game and keep the Giants in this one. They can't just keep handing it off to Saquon for a couple yards here and there. If they want to stay competitive, they're going to have to rely on Daniel Jones to kind of win this one for them. So I definitely see over 30 passing attempts for him in this one. So when I'm getting it at 28.5, you just have to smash the higher. Finally, DeAndre Hopkins, higher than 79.5 receiving yards. He's played 6 games this season. He's gone higher than this number in 5 of those 6 games. Now he's going up against the New England secondary that in the last 2 weeks has been torched by Justin Jefferson and Stephon Diggs. I think people are still forgetting about D-Hop, but he's still right up there as one of the top-tier receivers in this game. He should be able to have virtually no trouble against the secondary, getting catches and yards against them. I think people still have it in the back of their mind that New England is still this scary, vaunted defense, and that's just not the case anymore. There's definitely places to exploit them and matchups that can be exploited, and I think D-Hop is going to be one of them. So I'm going to take higher than 79.5 receiving yards.
It's okay to be wrong sometimes, V. It's all right to be wrong sometimes. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll get into it tomorrow, right?
That's another one that we have going into our NFL versus, but we'll get into that one tomorrow, definitely. And on to Vaughn's picks for the night. Vaughn, you have a nice little card here. Why don't you run everybody through what you're thinking for this one?
So I'm going to start off with Derrick Henry, higher than 91.5 rushing yards. Henry's been extremely limited the past few weeks, but he's had a ton of carries and played against great defenses. To me, this is the perfect bounce-back game for him against the Jaguars, who just let up, 40 points against the Lions. He's just too good not to break out of this funk against a rival nonetheless. And, they need to win games down the stretch because they're 7-5 right in the hunt. And he's got to get back on track for that to happen. For my second pick, I'm going to take Tom Brady, higher than 37.5 passing attempts. The 49ers have arguably the top run defense in the league right now, which doesn't bode well for Rachaad White, Leonard Fournette, the Bucs underperforming offensive line, really anybody on this Buccaneers offense. The Niners have a vastly superior roster to the Bucs, and I expect this to actually be a blowout. That means Brady is going to have one of his high-volume, stat-padding performances that seem to be a theme for him this season. I could see him throwing 50 passes in this game when it's all said and done. For my last pick, it's going to be Christian McCaffrey, higher than 98.5 rushing and receiving yards, with Big Cock Brock Purdy at quarterback. That's his nickname in the locker room now. I expect the Niners to run the ball much more with some creative Shanahan specials. With Eli Mitchell and Jimmy G on IR now, CMC will be the biggest beneficiary. He will be getting the ball early and often on Sunday, especially with Purdy's lack of arm strength and experience. He's going to dump it off a lot to him. So, yeah, I think he's going to get the ball a lot.
Oh, and Vaughn, this is the last show you'll ever be on here. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just playing with you. So I like it. I like all the picks there. I think we're right on the right track here. I smell a winner this week, boys, and I got another good one in the chamber for you right here. So we actually have a double pick, not just from the same game, but from the same position. I will admit that I had a little bit of trouble sparsing this one out this week when I went Raheem Mostert, as our friend Jack Kavanaugh would say, higher than 47.5 rushing yards, as well as Jeffrey Wilson Jr., higher than 40.5 rushing yards. And listen to me on this one before we, sail me down the river for taking 2 backs on the same team. I think that there's plenty to go around because you know what? We're following this Chargers defense around, and it's making us money. Every single week, they continue to just let backs eat them alive. Last week, we took a higher on Josh Jacobs, and he more than delivered, and we're back to the well this week, taking both of the backs in this game to absolutely demolish this Chargers defense. The Chargers allow over 5.4 yards per carry, dead last in the NFL, but you already know that because we have been beating this drum for the last month or even longer, probably pretty much all season. We've been talking about this Chargers underperforming defense, not just underperforming, but just flat out bad. They've allowed 100+ yard rusher in each of their last 3. And I was as shocked as anyone how Miami's last game turned out, where they absolutely got throttled by the Niners. I don't see this one turning out anywhere near the same way. I think that the Dolphins are going to have more than enough opportunities to take advantage of this really weak Chargers defense. And at 5.4 a clip, they don't need that many carries to get over this line. And I think there's going to be more than enough room for them to both take higher here. And on to the last pick here I'm taking Amon-Ra St. Brown to go higher than 84.5 receiving yards. And while poor Jameson Williams was languishing on the sideline, I'm so sorry to see that. As a Williams manager in Dynasty, I could have really used him to continue my ascent to the first overall pick. Brown actually went ballistic on the field. He finished last week with 11 receptions, 114 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's hit this higher in the last 3 of his last 4 games. He's gone over 110. This week they have Minnesota, and we've been highlighting this for a while now, but the Vikings are just not very good at corner, and it's resulted in them allowing the most yards to the wide receiver position in the league this season. Last week they allowed a pair of Jets wide receivers to exceed this projection. Garrett Wilson nearly doubled it himself. And the Lions just also play significantly better ball at home. Even if Jameson Williams sees increased snaps, this doesn't strike me as very likely, though. I still think Amon-Ra is the heart of this passing attack, and he is going to get plenty of work on these miserable Vikings corners. And hopefully Patrick Peterson doesn't tweet at me after that one. We'll see how that works out. But anyway, boys, I think we got some good picks, and we're making some good time because usually the second half's already started and it's just now kicking off while we hit our locks. So let's run through these. V, why don't you tell the people who you're taking with your lock this week?
Gotta lock up Dalvin Cook higher than 75.5 rushing yards. And I like that you also have a player in this game. Again, lots of points in this one. It has the highest total of the weekend, I think, at 53.5. This is going to be an absolute shootout. It should be a ton of fun, and I think there's just plenty of yards to go around. Detroit sucks against the rush. Again, they're like bottom 5 in yards per game and rushing yards per attempt allowed, and Dalvin Cook averages more than this number, so definitely got to lock up Dalvin Cook this week.
Right, and I'm right there with you. I'm locking up Amon-Ra St. Brown to go higher than 84.5 receiving yards. Just like you said, it's going to be a ton of points in this game. They're going to be boat racing right to the end, and I can't wait to watch it play out. Vaughn, let's see who you're taking for your lock this week.
I'm taking Brady. Look, he might be a recently divorced 45-year-old man traveling cross-country on a short week. But I think that comeback rejuvenated him a little bit, and he'll have enough energy, the super freak he is, to shoulder the load. Even if he doesn't play great overall, I think he's going to have a lot of volume because that running game is just not going to go anywhere.
We love to see it. I completely agree, and I almost spit my water out my nose onto my microphone when you said that about poor Tom Brady. Never thought I would be saying poor Tom Brady. But anyway, that does it for us, folks. We are back the same time next week, locked in tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. I, unfortunately, will not be there, but all of our guys are going to be there. We're going to have V. We're going to have Vaughn. We're going to have Ben. It's going to be a great time. You're not going to want to miss it. Check out everybody's work over on importantnonsense.com. In order to get access to that, you can get on our Patreon. And that gets us into the Discord. It's all sorts of good goodies in there. You get our picks every week, and you get to bug us. We can make picks for you. If we ever don't talk about a game you're interested in, you can hit us up in there, and we'll definitely handicap it for you. We love to do that. Otherwise, shop.importantnonsense.com to get all of your goodies for the holidays. We just dropped all the holiday collection. You're going to want to go check it out. That's promo code LOCK to get all that. And yeah, I think that about does it. V, any parting words for the people at home?
Definitely come hang out with us tomorrow. It's going to be a great time with everybody. We'll miss you, Mason, but we'll catch up next week.
Yes. I know you guys are going to hold it down, and it's going to be a great watch. I'm definitely going to be watching, but I just can't star live in it, unfortunately. But anyway, and Vaughn, do you have any parting words for the people at home?
Just holding back the tears. I'm gonna miss you, Mason.
I'm gonna miss you too, Vaughn. I'm gonna miss you too. I know you guys are gonna keep my show in good hands and not get me thrown off the air, Vaughn. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, until next time, everybody, good night and good luck.